I took my start from the fridge where I keep it in a jar, and I dumped it in a bowl, and I added my sugar, my flour, and my water, and I mixed it all up, and I put a cloth over it, and I just let it set. It just gets really bubbly, and it's kind of liquidy. The most important thing you need to remember before you start mixing your bread, because this is totally ready to be turned into bread, you have to pull out your start, right? All you have to do, I do clean out my containers in between. Some things say you don't need to, but I just kind of like to because they get kind of crusty. So you are getting, my friend, 1.5 cups of this start. And it's gonna be gooey. And then you seal it and you put it in your fridge. So, step 1, you feed your start, you let it sit. You take out your start, you're ready to make bread. So I just have a little bit down at the bottom. So, you add 1/4 cup of sugar. And you're just gonna add it right in the bowl or blender or mixer or whatever you're using. So sometimes I let this rise in a different bowl, and then I'm like, dang it, I could have just used the mixing bowl, had one less mess. So, there you go. Oil. And I'm just throwing it right on the start. Ooh. 1.5 cups water. And I just use my sticky start cup, so it's because it's always the amount I just pulled out. The salt, okay, so the teeth, it's a scant tablespoon. I'm gonna let this start mixing, and I'm gonna add the flour. And I always do wheat, so I do half, up to half can be wheat. Mix this up, add all the flour. Okay, I like to put all the flour in at the same time. Really just wait until it mixes all in. It's sticky, but it's not staying. Like, it's not staying to me, but it's moist, but it's not sticking. So that's kind of what you're looking for. I always like to knead it too at the end, just to get, like, make sure the flour is incorporated. My mixer does these like crumblies at the bottom. So that's what I'm mixing in. I don't know if you know how to knead. Do you know how to knead? So I grab from the back, and then I like squish it down and push it on itself. And you can turn it if you want, or you can just stay in the same spot and just kind of incorporate it in. I'm just trying to get it all like the same consistency. I'm trying not to be too rough with it, but it seems pretty stable. Oh, there's Walter. Say hi.
Hi.
I have this like pocket here that's a little bit, you can tell there's more flour, so I usually pinch this down just to like push it around. So then when I knead it, it'll kind of like incorporate back in. Okay, so I always like to finish it as like a pretty ball with the like seam on the bottom. So I kind of push it around to my fingers. You see that? I'm pushing it like this, so the bottom gets all crazy like that. After you knead it, just spray a bowl. I usually get my biggest bowl because it does rise overnight, and so it could get pretty big. Let it rise overnight. So right now, I'm gonna tell you the time. I just set it in here. I'm gonna cover it with a plate, just like that. So it's like covered, nothing's gonna get in it. So the time is 4:53. Okay, so it's the next morning, and it's 8-ish, so it's like 8:17. So my dough's risen. You're not supposed to punch it down.
I don't know.
You just like push it down.
Part of us is like,
And since you're making 3 loaves, you separate it into 3, but I'm doing 2 because I've got long bread pans. So this is 3 loaves worth.
needs. to be some particular thing.
Yeah.
And I love that they said like Star Wars.
So then you want to flatten it out, and you're just pushing out kind of the air pockets that are there.
What did Denise say?
I don't have a lot of similar complaints. Like some things that
Try to keep it kind of as a rectangle because you're going to roll it up.
like, because I have things that are amazing, but overall like good-ish movies.
Right.
So,
And a lot of what they do
Okay.
is like, hey, look at this cool thing.
right.
Rather than,
So then I roll it and I like pinch it into itself.
Yeah, I
Like I'm
think one thing I
pulling
really like
back
is,
on it.
I fully expected it to end when they got to the new base
Yeah.
planet thing.
into the ground.
And like when they First Order had those thing, they were gonna come toward the fact that I thought they were gonna
And then
be
I
there and have a big cliffhanger.
Form
Then there was
the
like
ends
a
down.
whole another third act.
You want
to
your
the movie.
seam
There were like 3
on the
times
bottom.
where I was like, oh, this is gonna be the end. I know we're still going.
Yeah.
Like when Luke's standing there, like kissing him
And
down.
you want to make it about as long as your pan.
Yeah.
We're still going. Like, it took me so
Just let them double,
Gorgeous.
and then you'll bake them.
Yeah.
You are going to want to feed it every 2 to 6 weeks. You can also do honey in your bread instead of white flour or white sugar. But for your start, you always want pure, like just the regular sugar, the regular flour. If you want to ever like double your start, so you're making 6 loaves of bread, or if you want to give some to somebody, you can feed it, let it double, put your half back in the fridge, and instead of making bread, just put it in, like give it to somebody else, or keep it all together. So that's how you start your own start, or expand it to share.